digital asset investor. After today's videos and a couple of videos I did some further research on Ripple's investors because my curiosity was piqued this afternoon when I got an email. And so I decided to dig a little deeper. And the first place that I wanted to look at this CME Ventures to see more about what they were. I'm trying to figure out kind of what Ripple's strategy is, things that we may not be being told, or some tie-ins with maybe Coinbase or anybody else that might be interesting. So when I went to CME Ventures, I found Ripple, of course, it's on here, and I was just scrolling through these different names of companies that CME had invested in. This one right here, for some reason, jumped out at me, and the Digital Currency Group. And so I started looking. Looking up here. It says banks can't ignore Bitcoin anymore. And then the immediate name that jumped out at me, because I've heard this name before and I don't remember where I've heard it, scrolled down and saw him right here, Barry Silbert. So I went to Google, typed in Barry Silbert, who is the founder of this. So let me just make sure you understand. The CME Group is investing in Ripple, and they're also investing in the Digital Currency Group. This is just a list of their different companies. Well, Barry Silbert is the founder and CEO of this company that's being funded by the CME. So then when I typed him into Google, because I recognized his name and couldn't remember where, this article comes up. Coinbase and Ripple investor Barry Silbert has scored a 9-figure fortune. So I'm just trying to illustrate to you how everything seems to be a spider web, and all of these guys are all invested in all of these companies together, and they're all intertwined. And that is a very good thing for Ripple and Coinbase as well. But I think many of us have been looking at this from the standpoint of, oh, Coinbase is this company over here and Ripple's this company over here. I sure hope they do this and do it. I believe from everything that I see reading between the lines here, it's very clear to me after today that they're all on the same team. The money is flowing through all of these similar companies, and they're all ultimately helping each other. So Coinbase, to me, is a foregone conclusion after what I've researched. In my research, I found a few other interesting things. I should have looked at this earlier, but I haven't ever really dug down and paid attention to it. But since we're talking about Ripple, what's important for all of us, besides the speculation of XRP and positive speculation, the price going up, the most important thing for all of us, of course, is the banking relationships that they've formed. And if you look at this page, just looking at it right off the bat, this one we knew about very well, SBI Group. Just recently, we started seeing pilot programs. It was Santander. I've seen this name more and more. And this one right here, I saw recently as well, a pilot program with Standard Chartered, but I never thought to go back to this page and see, okay, well, so basically the venture capital wing of these banks is investing in Ripple, and they did it a long time ago. And I think that tells you all you need to know, because if they're an investor in Ripple, they also own X amount of XRP, which means that they have an incentive for XRP to go up, which means that they have an incentive to not just use X current, but to use X rapid. And that doesn't just include money moving between banks, but money moving between individuals between banks. So I decided to go and take a look at just how big these banks are. Well, the first one I kind of discussed in a prior video. You had the SBI, when Ripple partnered with SBI Group, they formed the SBI Ripple Asia, and then SBI Ripple Asia formed the Japanese Bank Consortium that contains 61 bank members in Japan. Here's the part that I have not told you, that those 61 banks represent 80% of the total banking assets in Japan, and that is huge. So 80% of the banking population in Japan is going to, at some point, not only are they going to have the ability to move money through Ripple, and since the owners of SBI Ripple Asia and these bank members, I'm sure, are XRP holders as well, XRP is a foregone conclusion too. It's just a matter of time. And so you've got that going on in Japan. But when you look further down this rabbit hole and you start looking at Santander and Standard Chartered, it is almost like Ripple said, hey, now who would be the best investors that could help us move this whole thing and take it to the next level? And they created a spider web of some of the largest banks in the world. SBI Group is primarily Japan, and let me see if it mentions here. It's Japan and Korea, and it's in those Asian countries. And so they've got that part covered with this one. Well, look at these others. Let's look at Santander, Banco Santander. This group, I don't know if this sun is hitting. Okay. Santander Group, they have 186,000 employees, 14,392 branches, 3.26 million shareholders. They've got 102 million customers. They're in Europe, they're in the Americas, Asia, Australia, Africa. This is a huge bank. And then finally, let's look at Standard Chartered. Okay, now I've seen them recently in the news, but I've never really paid attention to the fact that they are one of Ripple's investors. All right, Standard Chartered. They have 1,200 branches. It says they're in 70 countries. They employ 87,000 people. That's massive. I mean, this is a huge company. And so just between these three banking investors, these guys, Ripple has tentacles across the world in almost every part of the world. And I think I remember, let me look back. It says here that Standard Chartered, they're in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. And the interesting thing about having the tentacles like this everywhere that Ripple has, just with their banking investors, imagine what these banks competitors are thinking when they come in. Just take the Middle East, for instance. Well, the Middle East, if they've got Standard Chartered in the Middle East and they come in there and start with the ability to move money in 3 seconds, and all these banks in Saudi Arabia are moving money through SWIFT, and it's taking them 3 to 5 days. You can imagine just how quickly those tentacles just spread. I mean, so I find this fascinating. I'm surprised that I didn't pick it up earlier, but I'm going to make this more of a study as I go forward. But I just wanted to pass that along to everybody. Again, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I'm not an investment advisor. And please like and share these videos as much as you can and subscribe. Thank you.